Thanks very much, Claire. I was very pleased that you said earlier on you could hear the vuvuzelas in the background. I was beginning to worry that it was just a constant ringing in my ears, a bit like when you've been in a nightclub and you come home and you can still hear the speakers sort of vibrating in your earlobe. So they are still playing them. Mind you, there's an awful lot of empty seats in this stadium, so I think those who have come along have all brought their little plastic horn with them. The reason so many empty seats, I'm sure a lot of it has to do with a lot of French fans who would have thought they were going to win Group A and they'd be playing in this second round game, and perhaps they've decided to go home early. And a lot of South African fans, particularly the optimistic ones, Pat Nevin, might have thought they'd have been involved in this game, and there will be disappointment that they aren't here.
Yeah, I mean, huge from that point of view, but from our point of view, I'm just looking forward to a great clash of cultures, you know, South American football against Asian football. But for one big thing, I think both teams want to attack.
Well, we are underway here, and immediately Uruguay come on the attack, and the Korean goalkeeper Jung, just for a moment, was wrong-footed, and fortunately for him, Lee Jung-soo, the defender, was able to clear the ball away. So Uruguay, who've been full of goals, who haven't conceded yet themselves here at World Cup 2010, and already creating the first opportunity. But here come the Koreans with Park Ji-sung of Manchester United to the edge of the area, stretching and almost releasing a pass to Park Chu-young. Well, we've had chances at both ends inside a minute.
That's astonishing. It's so similar to the goal he scored against Greece, where he just, picked the ball up for a bad pass in the midfield.
At the other end, for Uruguay, Cavani goes for goal, but it's a very tame effort, and it's cleared away from inside the South Korean penalty area. I did really like during the anthems, where one of the Korean players, Kim Jong-woo, while the rest of them during the anthems put their sort of hand where their heart is, he had the army salute, and that's because he plays for the army football team. None of your poncy professional footballers with him, I'll tell you. He's the army man.
I think they all have to do 2 years service, national service anyway, so he may still just be in or he's taking it as a full-time professional thing, but he's a hard tackling midfielder, no surprise there. He's an army man then. From Gwangju, is it?
Yeah, Kim Jong-woo. And he was a player who might have come to play in the Premier League. Wigan gave him a trial a few seasons back, but they weren't impressed enough to make the signing permanent. 0-0 here in the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium in Port Elizabeth, under blue skies with rather worrying looking dark clouds beginning to creep their way towards us from the right hand side, and possession with the Koreans wearing all white. We discussed this before the game, wondering quite how the red would have clashed with Uruguay's blue, but such is the commercial world we live in. They want to show off the other jersey.
I think I've figured it out. Referee.
Yeah, well,
he's wearing red at the moment, but maybe he should have changed
rather to make one person change. Yeah. This, of course, the first of the second round games, which means that of the 32 nations that started World Cup 2010, half of them have now been eliminated from the competition, and really this is where it gets juicy. We will have a winner here one way or the other if it takes extra time in Port Elizabeth. If we need penalties, one way or the other, one of these nations is going to be in the quarter-final later on. And by the way, the side they will meet is either USA against Ghana. So one of those four teams, USA, Ghana, Uruguay or Korea, will be able to get into the semi-finals. And this is the side of the draw Fabio Capello would have really wanted England to be in.
I think every single manager still in this World Cup would love to be in this side of the draw, right at the top. And one of these four teams is going to be a surprise. The least surprising, I think, would be Uruguay, but it's no foregone conclusion. And there's a little chance here for... I'm just trying to see if Key is going to come over, because he's already looked dangerous from set pieces, but it's about 23, 24 yards out, but Key's nowhere near it.
Park Chu-young, the man who plays in France with Monaco, is standing over this free kick for the Koreans. It's probably 6 or 7 yards outside the penalty area, maybe a little bit less than that. It's on the left-hand side. Uruguay taking no chances, have brought everyone back behind the ball. The Koreans playing from right to left as we look down here. The pitch looks quite cut up. They've played a few games here. There's been heavy rain as well. It was interesting, neither team were allowed to train on the pitch last night in case they damage the surface any further. The referee is having a chat with Alvaro Pereira on the far side.
He's trying to get hold of Lee Jung-soo because he's scored 2 goals so far this season, in this campaign so far, so he's getting special attention from the defenders.
I'm conscious we haven't given you a rundown of the teams in full. We'll do so as soon as we get a break in play here in Port Elizabeth. And eventually, here comes the free kick over the wall. Brilliant strike off the post. Park Chu-young very nearly scored a cracking goal. It's come off the woodwork and just a goal kick to Uruguay.
I've waited quite a while for some decent free kicks to come in. That was arguably the best so far. The pace and the power and the depth that he got. The goalkeeper, honestly, we're not exaggerating, didn't get within 2 feet of that, did he?
Is it fair to say, with all the criticism of the ball, that the players are getting a little bit more used to it?
Yeah, and that's understandable. You know, it does take a little bit of time. I also have to remember they do behave differently at sea level, and of course, this being sea level, I'm guessing. And it's a port.
See that blue stuff over there on the horizon,
exactly.
Pat? Yeah. Well, David Villa certainly had no problems with the new ball last night, striking from an enormous distance out. And they thought Robert Green dropped a clanger. What about that, the Chilean goalkeeper last night?
Terrible moment.
So 10 yards from the corner flag on the left-hand side for Uruguay. Still 0-0 here on 5 Live. And a throw in from Fusile, and he finds Suarez, who might have been pushed on the back. Suarez gets up, tries to get a shot in. He wasn't looking for a penalty, and the Koreans are able to clear it away. And Cho Young-hyun is the man who gets it, who ends up back in the arms of the goalkeeper Jung. And the vuvuzelas boom right the way around the stadium. I'm just looking, I mean, there's a pocket of Korean fans behind the goal way to our right-hand side. There's a very obvious pocket of Uruguayans on the far side of the field. And then across the rest of the stadium, you'd reckon 50% of the seats might be empty, and the other half are taken with the South Africans still wearing their yellow jerseys.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of the other games that I went to, certainly a lot of school kids were let in, I would imagine for free, just to fill up the spaces. And there's no lack of atmosphere. The vuvuzelas always make sure there is an atmosphere, but I was chatting to someone the other day, and you don't hear any singing, at all in this. And it's a shame, because over there, those Korean fans are definitely singing their hearts out, but you're not going to hear them from here.
I think actually England's last game was the one that, for the first time we could actually hear some tunes. I think I was at the Australia-Serbia game, and there was a lot of Australians there. They made their voices heard, but overall it's been the drone of the vuvuzela. A throw in here to the Korea. In fact, a free kick just down by the touchline. Left full-back position, the former Tottenham man Lee Young-pyo steps away from it. It'll be Lee Jung-soo to take the free kick. Uruguay 0, South Korea 0. Here on 5 Live, Korea making it through to the second round for the first time on foreign soil. Of course, they got to the semi-finals when it was on their patch in 2002. They beat the Spanish and they beat the Italians along the way. This is Diego Forlan, undoubtedly the danger man for Uruguay. That is brilliant close-touch control. 4 defenders all zoned in on him. He's got the pass to Cavani just outside the penalty area with the yellow boots, and that's a wild ball which Forlan will scamper after and just keep in play by the touchline on the far side. Forlan looks so bright, give it in across, missed by the goalkeeper, into the back of the net by Luis Suarez, and Uruguay have the lead in Port Elizabeth. A goalkeeping error for sure, but brilliant accuracy from Luis Suarez from a tight angle to finish. He scored the winner against Mexico. He scored the opener here against the Koreans. Uruguay 1, South Korea 0.
Got to say, there's a lot got to do with Diego Forlan. He started the move in the first place, created panic, but also chased a hopeless ball out to the left wing and put an incredibly difficult ball to defend into the middle. But having said that, the keeper should have got it 100%. It was along the ground, half went for it and thought, I think he considered then leaving it, hoping they would go for a goal kick. It didn't, and as you say, Suarez, second goal of the tournament so far. Well done.
The goalkeeper, Jong Sung-ryong, will be worried about his peripheral vision, because diving down to his left, he could have stretched out his hands and gathered that ball. He opted to leave it, thinking it was going to flash in front of the goal and out for a goal kick. What he did not see was Luis Suarez attacking the far post. It was set up by Diego Forlan. It was scored by Luis Suarez. And the combination of those two continue to be one of the stories of this World Cup. And Uruguay, some people name them as dark horses, and they are living up very much to that sort of billing. Let's get an update from Wimbledon. Let's join Ian Carter.
On court number 1, where the 6th seed Robin Söderling of Sweden is through to the second week of Wimbledon without dropping a set. Very impressive once again. He's beaten Thomas Bellucci of Brazil, the 23rd seed, 6-4, 6-2, 7-5 in just short of 2 hours.
Thank you very much, Ian. And by the way, if you'd prefer to keep in touch with events at Wimbledon rather than here at the World Cup, Rafa Nadal's game against Felipe Kirchner is on at the moment on our sister station 5 Live Sports Extra. You can follow commentary of that. But here on 5 Live, we are in Port Elizabeth. As predicted, those clouds do seem to be just blocking out the sun a little bit now. It feels a bit chillier. And Korea have a bit of a task. You want to see them go through, Pat Evan. They've got a task here.
No, to be fair, I'm a big fan of Chilean football. Chilean, because you said Chile there. No, Korean football, really, because they work great, the work ethic is absolutely fantastic, and they've got skillful players as well. But I also like to see the more attack-minded sides. Now, let's be fair about this. Uruguay have got 3 out-and-out attackers in that field just now. They've scored a goal, and they seem to want to go forward again. Korea, for their part, they've started 4-2-3-1, which is not the most attack-minded system to start a game. They'll have to adapt that. They'll need to change that. They're a goal down. And the great thing about it, the attacking team has scored early on, which that almost always means the game opens up.
Yeah, an improvement in the attacking fare from the Koreans. And, this isn't the group stage. You can't lose and then just win your next match. This is knockout football now. This is where the World Cup gets exciting, as Lee Young-pyo passes into central defence to Cho Yong-kyung, and over to the right-hand side to Cha Du-ri, who's very easily recognisable with his shaved head, but he's given the ball away here to the danger man Suarez. He scored the goal here, tries to pass to Forlan. The pass goes astray, and it's picked up by Lee Chung-young of Bolton on the right-hand side with his yellow boots for Korea. Tries to cut inside the full-back Fusile, but he's shown too much of the ball, and Uruguay should be able to clear it away. Fusile's control lets him down, and that goes out for a corner kick to Korea on the right-hand side.
A little bit of a lift from Korea. Certainly have to go and create something quite soon. They could lose a little bit of confidence, because I think Uruguay have started very well. They're passing it well. They do look a team that wants to go and create chances and score goals. I suspect they will continue to create chances throughout this game.
So the corner is going to come from the right-hand side. Key is the man who swings it in. Muslera, the young Uruguayan goalkeeper, is the man who punches it clear. And back inside the centre circle with Cho. All his teammates are still up in attacking position, so he's launched it long. Kim Jong-woo gets a header, comes straight back to him, and then he's well tackled, and the chance of a breakaway, and it could be 2-on-2 here as Cavani sets away Suarez down the left-hand side. He's got to go very wide to collect the ball. Cha tries to close him down. Suarez does a little backheel to himself. Oh, it's worked out nicely, but then Cha stuck doggedly to the task and made an interception. It falls for Arevalo Rios, and the shot goes over the crossbar.
Hopefully one of the last comments about the ball, but Cavani played that ball from the right hand side here, about 60 yards over to the left hand side. You quite simply cannot play that at altitude. It goes straight out of play. The reason why I know, because I hit a few golf balls and it goes much, much further. So I know how far my 5-iron or 6-iron goes. You get another 20 yards with a golf ball, so it must be the same with the ball.
Pat Nevin could be a professional on the South African tour.
I think possibly not. I was supposed to be playing. Well, I'll tell you that story later. Football to be played.
The trouble is, all the other golfers benefited from that as well. It's 1-0 to Uruguay here, the first game of the last 16 at the World Cup. And this features Uruguay, who came out of South Africa and France's group, and Korea, who came out of the Argentina group. They did lose 4-1 to Diego Maradona's side. And just a reminder that later on this evening, the second of the second round games, USA against Ghana, 7:30 kickoff here on 5 Live. Tomorrow, Argentina get their second round, started against Mexico. That's the evening game at 7:30. You probably know what the afternoon game is, a 3 o'clock kickoff. It's Germany against England. Cha in possession for Korea here over the halfway line, looking for Lee Chung-yong, and he tries to turn around Fusile. The interception is made by the Uruguay left back, and that's a throw-in to Korea. The sun is back out again. The Vuvuzelas making their noise, and the goal from Luis Suarez, who's had a just phenomenal season at club level with Ajax in the Dutch league when he scored 49 goals in 48 games. And he's now got 2-2 here at the World Cup.
Yeah, and a big thing about people talk about players coming into a World Cup on form. Well, Suarez has some season, and I would argue that Forlan's had an even better season. So two of your best players, absolutely sparkling form at the best part of their careers. That's why they've gone this far so far, and they've got a great chance of going much further, Uruguay.
You would think, Pat, that Ajax are going to need chains and padlocks to keep Luis Suarez for next season. I mean, particularly now at the World Cup that he's been getting goals, all the big clubs will be in for it.
There's not a hope of him staying on. Really, all the teams, you're talking Spain, you're definitely England as well. I mean, if anyone was playing that well, if you're a striker, you're scoring goals, and he just looks really live and really sharp just now.
Yeah, Luis Suarez got the winner against Mexico. He has scored the opener here against Uruguay. It came after 8 minutes. Quarter of an hour played now on 5 Live. And Uruguay with a free kick inside their opponent's half. Diego Forlan is taking a lot of care over placing this. It's only about 20 yards inside the Korean half. But he's going to take a long run up. Plenty of activity on the edge of the area. Forlan's delivery in is headed down into the turf by Lee Jung-soo and collected by Cavani on the left-hand side. And then he is tackled by Lee Chung-yong. And Korea struggling to get out of their final third, have given away a throw, and that'll give possession back to Uruguay.
Yeah, I mean, very, very, very good delivery from free kicks and from open play from the Uruguayans. I think they feel that there is a weakness in the centre of that Korean defence, and certainly the goalkeeper's shown one weakness so far, but even that defending there wasn't great.
Georges Fusile takes the throw in. Got good distance on it as well. Too high for his teammates was the problem. Lee Jung-soo clears away for Korea. The ball comes back into the penalty area and into the arms of Jung, wearing all yellow. And the wind picks up now as well in Port Elizabeth as a free kick is given away by Diego Perez, the Monaco man, on Lee Young-pyo, the former Tottenham defender, now plays with Al Hilal in the Middle East. So free kick to Korea, left full-back position for them. Cho, the central defender, is going to take it with his white boots. Just wondering, I mean, Pat, we spoke about Korea have to come out a bit more now. Do you think they've adjusted their formation, having started with just one striker?
What they tend to do then is they tend to put the two white men a little bit further on. You know, Park Ji-sung will move a little bit further up the field, so it gives a little chance, and obviously Lee Chung-yong will do exactly the same. So the two wide midfielders will then just go play more attack-minded, but they're slowly but surely moving 5 yards further up. But eventually, if that doesn't work, they may have to think of another striker. But it's still early days yet in this game.
Yep, Korea a goal behind here in the first half in Port Elizabeth. This is 5 Live for the BBC on a Saturday afternoon. And let's not forget that Korea scored 5 goals in the group stages. So they've got power in their boots, and given opportunities, they could well trouble Uruguay as the game continues. This is Cha passing the ball infield to Ki, and he tried to send it into space on the near side. It was well intercepted by Suarez. Uruguay doing well to get everyone back behind the ball as Lee Jung-soo chips into the penalty area, stretching to control is Park Chu-young, and he's not been able to do so. It's gone out for a goal kick to the South Americans.
I'm not sure the assistant referee was up with the play there, but he gave it from about 6 yards off the correct line. But really, I think the Koreans, you're looking at them just now, they're not creating too much from open play just now. I think you look back in the start of the game, you think of the free kick off the goal post, and that's possibly the best moment, well, actually certainly the best moment they've had in the game so far. But apart from that, I think Uruguay will be very comfortable with what they've played so far. Yeah,
if you're joining our coverage late here, Park Chu-young, who scored against Nigeria last time. Free kick outside the penalty area, wide on the left-hand side. Brilliant trajectory on it, good pace as well. Keeper wouldn't have got anywhere near it, but it came back off the post. That was when the game was still at 0-0. Uruguay went down the other end. Diego Forlan from wide left position sent in a cross in front of the face of the goalkeeper. Bad mistake by Jung, who thought it was just going to harmlessly go across and wide. He hadn't banked on Suarez popping up, and from a tight angle Suarez was able to finish right-footed for 1-0. Here come Uruguay on the attack with Georges Fusile on the left-hand side. He's got all the way to the byline, and his cross lands on top of the roof of the net.
Yeah, poor cross that, but I was noticing that Suarez was waiting outside the box about 20 yards out. It's a bit of a surprise for me, because he is an old-fashioned goal poacher, isn't he? That's that kind of player, you know. A wee bit stocky looking, you know, maybe not unlike Gerd Muller in his time, if we're going back quite a few World Cups. But, you know, just somebody who wants to get into that 6-yard area between the posts and get any little half chance that comes across.
A reminder that commentary from Wimbledon on Rafa Nadal's game against Felipe Pechner is on right now on our sister station 5 Live Sports Extra. Andy Murray plays Gilles Simon later on and we'll have commentary here on 5 Live. That's the third match on centre court at Wimbledon, as Park Ji-sung of Manchester United tries to cross from the left-hand side for Korea, and that's been put out for a throw-in for the Asian side, which is taken quickly by Lee Young-pyo to Park Ji-sung, back to Lee Young-pyo again, and he's actually run the ball out of play, and that's going to be a throw into Uruguay, who've just been able to deal with most of what the Koreans have sent their way so far.
When you look at Lee Young-pyo, we know that he actually can get up that left wing quite a lot from that left full-back area, but I quite like to see from both him and Park in front of him is a bit of communication, a bit of work together, but they seem to work as individuals at the moment. There's been an injury for Suarez, but in that there's a break. They've kept on going.
Yeah, play will continue. Uruguay have the ball. I think Suarez is going to be okay, and he's now making his way forward, just rubbing his head and taking up a position on the right wing. Possession with Diego Godin, the Villarreal defender, finding another man who plays in Spain, Diego Forlan. This is Fusile playing a 1-2, and Cha is forced to lunge in. And I thought Uruguay were going to get a corner there. The referee, who's from Germany, Wolfgang Stark, says it's a goal kick.
I would have agreed with you, but I think we probably agree with the fact that the referee's a touch closer, and then that there were no arguments for the Uruguayan players. They might have got it right, but from this angle it certainly looks as if it was a corner kick. But a good break, and once again the perfect ball played through by Diego Forlan. Just waited to draw a defender, and he is pulling the strings when he gets the ball.
That's the voice of Pat Nevin, former Scotland international, watching this game with us here on 5 Live. Luis Suarez early goal, and South America lead Asia. Uruguay 1, South Korea 0 in this, the first game of the last 16. USA against Ghana later on this evening, and really the fun does start here in terms of the knockout stages. And there's been some really good games over the last few evenings, and the final group games and the excitement levels, and I think the Slovakia game was absolutely phenomenal. But so far here, Uruguay comfortably in control. This is Lee Young-pyo, left-hand side for Korea, up towards Park Ji-sung. He's done well to hold off Perez. Perez, though, sticks to the task. He's a really defensively minded midfielder, very good tackler.
He's a rash, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's so tight. He's one of these players, I don't really think he likes passing the ball a great deal. I think he just likes tackling.
He's nicknamed El Russo, which means the Russian. He kind of looks like one of those henchmen in the early James Bond movies.
He looks like a hitman. I'm with you in that one. I'm 100% with you in that one.
He's got the cold, icy stare. He's standing midway inside the Uruguayan half. Tightly cropped hair. Those purple and orange boots favoured by so many of the players here in South Africa.
It's one of those players that Mark Keown would admire.
He plays in France with Monaco, does Diego Perez. And Uruguay have possession here with a throw-in on the halfway line. Well, their coach, Oscar Tabaraz, will be having some deja vu feelings, I'm sure. He was in charge in 1990 when Uruguay made it to the second round. Now, this is as far as they've been since, as Lee Jung-soo clears away up towards the halfway line, and Park Chu-young is beaten in the air. But Korea will win the throw-in, and a chance for them to move into the Uruguay half.
Yeah, but it hasn't looked strong enough, has it? It hasn't looked powerful enough. They've not got enough bite. They're very, very quick, the Koreans, and up front they're very, very quick, but they seem to lack power, and they're not being able to bludgeon their way through the centre of that defence just now, and that's a problem. I just do wonder eventually if they're going to have to slightly change it, bring on a little bit more power up front.
South Korea did have just one win in the group stages. They beat Greece 2-0 in the opening game. They then lost to Argentina and drew 2-2 with Nigeria. As a cross from Lee Chung-yong into the penalty area. Good turn by Park Chu-young. Might have come down for him a second time, but Diego Lugano, the captain, was able to stretch in his right boot. And you feel sorry for Park Chu-young, actually. He was waiting for the ball to come down, but it was whipped away before he got a chance to shoot. Uruguay come on the counter-attack. Forlan to Suarez, back to Alvaro Pereira, and then they hold it up in midfield with Arevalo Rios and Perez, and now to the near side to Maxi Pereira. There are two Pereiras in the Uruguayan team. This is Maxi Pereira, left-footed shot, lower ground the turf, comes off the heels of a defender. Uruguay have got Maxi Pereira on the right and Alvaro Pereira on the left. Pat Nevin.
And I tell you, the movement for Uruguay is a long way ahead of the Koreans at the moment. It's particularly obviously up front. Forlan even a class above the rest of them just now, but all interchangeable up front there. Very impressed with the entirety of the team when they want to get forward, particularly from midfield. But Forlan, as I say, keep on saying, he is pulling the strings.
Uruguay 1, South Korea 0 on 5 Live. We're past the midway point in the first half, and this is David Oates.
Thank you, Connor. Well, Uruguay, very good value for the 1-goal lead, no question about that. They always had the potential to be a surprise package, the mix of the 3 outstanding strikers, the young talent that they have at their disposal, and of course the legendary Uruguayan fighting spirit. And apart from that scare in the 5th minute when that excellent free kick from Park Chu-young rebounded off the post with Muslera beaten, it really has been all Uruguay. And I'm fully in agreement with Pat Nevin. I think the Koreans are going to have to shake things up a little. Just for a moment, it looked like South Korea, through Key, the Celtic man, might burst through. He got into the box, but it was a good tackle. And ultimately, the Korean gives away a free kick for the foul on Godin, the Villarreal defender, and Uruguay will breathe again. Pat Nevin.
I suppose if you think of what Korea have been doing so far in this tournament, I mean, they have struggled a little bit from open play, you know, and they've had to depend on the defenders coming. Lee Jong-sol scored 2 of the goals so far, but also, you know, free kicks from Key, and obviously a free kick we seen earlier on from Park Chu-young. They seem to be playing for set pieces just now. It's not what you expect from Korea.
Well, they scored a couple of goals against Nigeria in the 2-2 draw that came from set pieces, so yes, they might be just hanging their hat on that, but I think they're going to have to do a little bit more than that. I think South Korea's group wasn't particularly strong. I saw a couple of their games, with the exception obviously of Argentina. I saw the other 2 games against Greece and Nigeria, and in some ways the Koreans perhaps a little bit fortunate to get through that group, to squeeze through. They are coming forward now. The ball's on the edge of the Uruguay penalty area. It's worked out to the far side to Lee Chung-young. Plays the ball back infield to Key, who plays it outside to the far side, the right back Cha, and Cha's cross is blocked and it's out of play for a throw-in on the far side to South Korea. It will be the German-born Cha to take it. He's tight to the corner flag. He's got just one player making a run towards him. That's Bolton Wanderers' Lee Chung-young. And in the end, he can't retain possession, and the Uruguayans will clear. Fusele will have a throw-in right down by his own corner flag.
As a gentleman you often work with, I'm sure, on Radio 5 Live, Craig Brown, who would be going mad at the moment. Because, you know, when you're not being able to hold on to possession from a throw-in, it's very easy to do it.
Oh, mistake made in the defence, and there's an offside flag up against Suarez as he broke through, and that was very, very, as you can probably hear Pat Nevin in the background with his oohs and ahs, that was a very, very debatable decision. And we'll have a look at that on the replay. It was a horrendous mistake by Lee at the back. The Koreans are coming forward. It's actually, I think since I took over the commentary, this is the best spell of pressure that the Koreans have had in terms of territory, because it's nearly been all in the Uruguayan half. The ball's played in towards the penalty area where Lugano, the captain, heads clear, and now there's an opportunity perhaps for Uruguay to break. Out on the far side with Alvaro Pereira in the bright yellow boots. He plays a crossfield ball to Maximiliano Pereira. I think we'll just call him Maxi and leave it at that. Played up to the man that they call the little stick, Alvaro Pereira again. Now to this centre of the field, and Godin crosses the halfway line. Fusile out to the far side once more. Left hand side they try to break with Arevalo, and the ball eventually worked towards Forlan. Perez wanted it, but Arevalo plays it to this near side instead to Maxi Pereira. And they're very comfortable in possession, the Uruguayans. If you're just tuning into 5 Live, this is the last 16 match. There will be 8 of them, obviously. This is the first. Tonight, it's the USA-Ghana. Full commentary from 7:30 on 5 Live. And here, Uruguay leading South Korea by a goal to nil. Luis Suarez, the goal scorer in the 8th minute. Another goalkeeping mistake, you'd have to say, and good defending by Uruguay on that far side. Godin played the ball back to his goalkeeper Muslera, and Uruguay complete the clearance, and the ball is with Arevalo. If he can reach it, he can't, and now there's a chance. Park Ji-sung just plays the ball sideways to Park Chu-young. Good touch from a defender. Now it's Key square to Kim, and then out to the far side Better stuff from Korea now, Pat Nevin.
A little bit better, but I see that just that final little bit, the wingers getting round the back. They've not really managed to do that so far, but we know Park can.
It's just a little bit ponderous. I think that's the real problem. The number 17, Lee Chung-yong, then sends over a cross. It was a hopeful one, and in the end it bounces on the roof of the net and never unduly troubled Muslera in the goal.
I'll tell you what, that's never offside, what we were talking about earlier on. That you did hear lots of noises from me in the background. My first thought was, that's not offside, and it isn't.
Well, what actually happened was that Forlan made the tackle on the last defender, and he won the ball cleanly. The last defender's touch had been poor. Forlan won the tackle, and Suarez was adjudged to be offside, to be ahead of him, but he wasn't. The replays clearly show he wasn't, and that would have been as clear a one-on-one as you would ever see. And given that he scored 49 goals in 48 games for Ajax this season, I think the odds would have been on Suarez having scored that goal. A second for him and a second also for Uruguay. We'll be going to Wimbledon in just a moment, but opportunity for Park Ji-sung down this near side. Pulls the ball back across the edge of the penalty area. That's good clearing up from Arevalo. And there'll be a throw-in to South Korea. Let's get an update on the Rafael Nadal match at Wimbledon. Here's Alistair Eakin.
And Nadal is leading here by 4-3 in the opening set. He has a break of serve. He broke in the opening game of the match, but Philipp Pechner, his German opponent, is pushing hard, and he's been making inroads on each of the Nadal service games. But Nadal leads 4-3 with a break first set.
Thank you, Alistair, and coverage of that match continues on Sports Extra, our sister station, if you would prefer to listen to the tennis. Later on 5 Live, I think he's third on centre court, Andy Murray and Gilles Simon. A couple of other things to tell you about as well. Fabio Capello and the England press conference from Bloemfontein at 6 o'clock. We'll be taking that on 5 Live. And tomorrow morning, 5 Live breakfast comes live from Bloemfontein with Nicky Campbell. And, of course, our coverage of the big match, England-Germany tomorrow. Well, the build-up for that begins at 12 with Graham Taylor, Chris Waddle and host Mark Pugac. A good tackle there from Lugano, the captain, but the ball spills kindly for the Koreans about 20 yards outside the penalty area. Here's a shooting opportunity from distance just wide of the right-hand post. Park Chu-young really let fly there. He caught it sweetly. No problems with the ball on that occasion. About 2 or 3 yards wide of the post with the goalkeeper Muslera really scrambling across. Actually, in fairness to the keeper, he almost withdrew his arm. I think he knew it was going wide.
Yeah, but certainly Park Chu-young looks the most likely, doesn't he? Anytime he gets a chance, he tries to get a shot off. Obviously, he had the free kick that hit the post, but a little bit better from a number of players. Certainly, Park Ji-sung. I was asking just a few moments ago, would he get down the line immediately after that? Got down the line a little bit, looked a little bit more lively. Funnily enough, he looks to me just a little bit more tired than he has done for a long part of the season with Manchester United. One other thing, if we could spot that offside from up here, we really both felt it. And that's the linesman, that's all he's got to do. That's his only job, and he didn't get it right.
Lee, on the edge of the penalty area, is dispossessed. That was another good ball from Park Ji-sung, though. Yes, that offside. I think that linesman might be in a little bit of trouble for that. It'll be interesting to see whether he officiates again. Wolfgang Stark, by the way, is the referee. He's the referee from Germany, of course, and both his assistants are German. To be fair, it's not a refere's call, is it? It's a linesman's call.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got my list of referees. There's a few that can just go and pack up their bags and get their coat right now. The one who sent off Kaka, obviously, he can... Yeah.
The Nevin blacklist, is
this? There's a couple on it. I'll get to them a little later. But certainly, and last night another one was added to it, obviously, as we sat and watched. Chile getting a man, unfortunately, unwisely, unfairly sent off.
The man with a slick back hair, yes.
Mr. Gonzalez from Mexico, I believe.
12 and a half minutes to go to half-time. You're listening to 5 Live from the BBC in this Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium here in Port Elizabeth. 48,500 capacity, but probably only about 30,000 in this stadium as the Koreans take a free kick, and it's wild and hits straight out of play. It's a lovely stadium. It's pretty tight to the pitch. It's a lakeside setting here in Port Elizabeth, and I love the precision of the figures we're given before the match. There's an 82% chance of rain, not 81 or 83, but 82% chance of rain. And given the beautiful sunny day we've had, that's a real surprise. But Connor mentioned it. Cloud has crept in and it might start pouring down. And just a word or two about one or two things that the players have got to contend with that hasn't been the case at every match. It's quite windy today and has been throughout the day here in this port city, and also this pitch doesn't look too clever, does it, from distance?
No, it's not. The ball is bobbling about a bit, but it doesn't seem to be affecting the players hugely, and it's a big stadium, you know, so hopefully the wind doesn't have a big part to play either. But the rain may change it in the second half. I suspect the rain will come, and all the time I've been over here, that is the first cloud that I have seen.
That was another good ball by Park Ji-sung down this near side touchline for Lee Chung-young as the Koreans attack right to left in this first half. And that's neat play on the edge of the penalty area. Here's Lee. Lee played the ball into the box, and it's cleared behind for a corner by Godin, but in fact it was foul. That's a real shame for the Koreans, because that in a way was the most constructive move of the match from them. I have to say,
I didn't see the foul, did you?
Well, I didn't see the foul. I also felt that Lee should really have shot.
100%. Complete agreement with you, because he got to himself in a position in the corner of the box there. Now, there's a group of players in front of him, but that's sometimes a good thing for a shot, because all you need is the slightest little deflection. Again, as we've seen in the game last night, anything could happen. And even if you get a ball on target, a lot of things are coming off the goalkeepers as well. So you're absolutely right. He should have taken a chance, had the shot. Instead, he tried to play the ball through the eye of a needle, and it just didn't work.
5 Live from the BBC. Uruguay 1 up against South Korea. 10 minutes to half-time here in Port Elizabeth, and we had anticipated, with this being the first World Cup in Africa, that perhaps the Africans might flourish, but only Ghana through to the last 16, and the continent in a way that has really flourished is, of course, South America, because 5 entered, 5 in the 32, and all 5 are through to the last 16. Brazil and Argentina, of course, you come to expect that, but also Paraguay, Uruguay and Chile. South Korea had the ball on the edge of the penalty area. Cha, if he can reach the ball, he can't. It was a poor pass to him. The German-born Cha Dudri never really had a chance to get that, and it's behind for a goal kick. Pat,
but it was his first overlap, Chaduri, and the timing of it was absolutely perfect. It was a very, very poor ball played into him. There was plenty of time to find him there, so I think there was certainly a deal of disappointment that the right ball wasn't played, but I think that gives him a little bit of a lift there. I mean, if Lee Chung-young could have got that ball on, they would have been at the byline, and we know that's the most dangerous crossing again.
Former Scotland international Pat Nevin with us. Of course, the one thing you do know about the Koreans is that they have an astonishing level of fitness, really. They play with a high intensity. They'll play from the first whistle until the last. They had the first chance with that shot that hit the post. They went behind shortly after that, the 8th minute, with that Suarez goal. But they're looking stronger at the moment than they have done any other time in the match. I'd say the last 5 or 10 minutes or so. It's Chile. Chile? That's starting. You started that, didn't you? It is Chile. It's Uruguay in possession. They don't even play in the same kit, do they? Long ball forward towards Forlan, and it's cut out by Cho, just outside his own penalty area. Just clips the ball forward. The former Spurs man Lee Young-pyo wants the ball. He's been around a bit now, playing in Saudi Arabia, but he's also played at PSV and Dortmund. Just knocks the ball forward over the halfway line to Park Ji-sung, who's looked a lively presence. He's missed a lot of the French season through injury. He's got the ball back and swings it across. Dangerous looking one. Muslera takes it. There was a player incoming, Park Ji-sung, but Muslera wasn't deceived and manages to just pluck the ball out of the air.
I think Park Ji-sung's by a long, long way the best player in this Korean team. I think he's played really well so far. Great pace about him as well. The shots have been wonderfully on target generally as well. I just would like someone big alongside him and give him a bit of help. And the referee's getting his yellow card. I think it's about unnecessary, this.
Well, he's booking Kim Jung-woo for a challenge on Suarez. And, you know, my first instinct was he took the ball, and I've seen it again, and I still think he took the ball. Yeah, he may have got the man second.
Yeah, he got to touch the ball, and of course every referee will tell you, if it is reckless, it doesn't matter if you get the ball. That's a get out, as far as I'm concerned. He went in to get the ball and he got a bit of it.
Well, Kim Jung-woo hasn't been booked before in this tournament, so should Korea go on. Here's Suarez with the header from the free kick. It was a long flighted ball from Forlan. Really, the defence should have dealt with that quite easily. They allowed it to run all the way through to Suarez. All he could do really was flick his head at it, and it was a comfortable save for Jung, but real hesitancy there from the Koreans.
Yeah, there wasn't a huge amount to that.
And now down the other end of the field is a little header on from Lee Chung-young. The ball ends up in Muslera's arms.
It's quick in 1 second. You're talking about Jones at one up, one kick of the ball straight up the other side, and it's quite an open game.
It's end to end just at the moment, with 38, almost 39 minutes on the clock. Uruguay just getting a little scrappy at the back and in midfield, but now they've released Cavani down this near side. Cavani, the man who plays his football in Palermo, he is actually Italian qualified as well, but he opted for Uruguay. Then the ball's played in towards Perez and knocked out towards this near side. That's a good clearing header in the end by Lee Jung-soo. Back to his goalkeeper Jung, and South Korea will come again down this near side. They are trying to make hay down this left-hand side. Ball's played infield now from Lee Chung-yong. Not the best of balls, but the referee has spotted an infringement, and it will be a free kick to Korea just inside the Uruguay half.
Yeah, but you're right. They are slowly but surely getting their way into the game, South Korea, just now. They're getting more of the possession. They're beginning to play it a little bit wide. Both full-backs are trying to get forward that little bit more, and that always helps a little bit. But I will mention Forlan just one more time. Let's have a sweep to see the first time he gives the ball away in this game, because it ain't happened yet.
It certainly hasn't, and that was a wonderful free kick about 2 or 3 minutes ago. I mentioned that the defence should probably have cut it out, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it was a pinpoint accuracy to Suarez. Here come the Koreans. The ball's knocked into the penalty area. It's headed on by Ki and headed out of the box by Godin. And it will be a throw-in over on the far side for the Koreans, which Cha will take. The easily identifiable Cha, because he's got a completely bald head. Finds Kim on the edge of the penalty area. Back to the full-back. The right back with his right foot tries to play the ball across. He gets the return pass from Chung after it's been blocked. Now Cha once more towards the edge of the penalty area. Perez wins it well, and now there's an opportunity for Uruguay on the break. Played towards the near side and towards Cavani, but squirms loose to Lee Young-pyo. Just touches it sideways to Ki. Ki, the Celtic man who found a bit of favour under Tony Mowbray, less so since Neil Lennon took over at Celtic Park. And then there's a shot from distance from Cha, and that was from fully 35 yards. Muslera backpedaling, but 2 or 3 yards over his crossbar. But he earned warm applause from Hu Jung-moo, his coach there, did Cha Do-ri.
I tell you what, he got plenty on that one, didn't he? And because of the angle it was going, I think the goalkeeper his first step was expecting a little cross there towards the back post, but I certainly had it covered. But plenty of... Look, the thing is, we've not seen that much depth in the ball so far. He got plenty of depth in that as well. Not quite enough, but plenty of power. So once again, it's another little step in the right direction for Korea. They're getting more involved in this game, and there's not been much action up in their defensive area in the last 10 or 15 minutes.
No, at the midway point when I took over, I said that Uruguay had been good value, and I stand by that. But you would have to say that really, on balance, the first 42 minutes now has probably been pretty much even Steven. Ball's played sideways to Ki in the centre of that Korean midfield. Finds Cha, his supporting fullback again, wires across, and the ball runs all the way through to Muslera in that Uruguay goal. Now, one of the problems with the Korean names, did you know that there are about 250 surnames in Korea, but 3 or 4 of them make up 90%. Yeah. And with the Lees and the Kims, 13 of the 23 squad members are called Lee or Kim. How helpful is that?
And it's always been the way. One of the odd things I found when I was in Korea last time, that if you do want to marry someone of the same surname as you have to do a genealogy check to make sure you aren't too closely related, because everyone's got the same surname you could be.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. You see, you go off at a tangent. You think outside the box. That's very impressive, Pat Nevin. Former Scotland international, with 2.5 minutes to go to half-time here in Port Elizabeth. Ki, who's playing well, he's really pulling all the strings in that Korean midfield, and plays the ball out to the far side again to Cha. And this time his cross is blocked. It was a good block as well by the fullback Fusile, who plays in Portugal for Porto. He's won 3 titles with them, and I think, you know, when you look at the Uruguayans, the teams that they play for, the pedigree that they have, it's not that much of a surprise that so far they've done so well in this tournament. And they're doing well here because they've crossed the halfway line, and Suarez wants the ball, and Suarez gets the ball on this right-hand touchline, plays it towards the edge of the penalty area. Oh, it's a lovely piece of play, and was that handball? Well, the referee says no, but that to me looked like it struck the hand of a Korean defender. Maybe he didn't know too much about it.
100% it struck his hand, and it was going towards goal. I wouldn't give a penalty in that situation simply because he knew nothing about it. But I'll tell you what, plenty of referees would.
Well, that clearly is a handball, because one of the Uruguayan players, it's the captain Lugano, who's got to be very careful here, because he will miss a match if he gets booked.
Still walking away, holding his head as if he's hurt his head.
Yeah, he was beaten there on the ground by Lee Chung-yong. He fell backwards, not deliberately. He was forced backwards, if you like, and then deliberately handled the ball. But the referee hasn't chosen to produce the yellow card on this occasion. But what it does do is give Park Chu-young a really good shooting opportunity. We've seen him strike the post from pretty much this situation. And the interesting thing with that free kick in the 5th minute was there was a lot of pushing, a lot of shoving. But I felt all the time, while I was push and shove, I thought, well, he's going to shoot here, surely. And he did, and he struck the woodwork with Muslera, the goalkeeper, beaten. And this is probably about 3 or 4 yards, not necessarily nearer to the goal, but from a less acute angle.
I don't think he has the element of surprise this time, however.
I don't think he does. There is a 4-man Uruguayan wall. It will be Park Chu-young to strike it straight into that wall. It rebounds to the full-back Shah, who we know can hit them, and he doesn't again. 2 yards over the crossbar. Muslera had it covered.
I think that's probably a yard lower than the previous one, so he has another 3 strikes and he'll be on target. But once again, good power in there from Chaduri on the right-hand side. But you know, sometimes when we've just actually seen a replay of the handball in the box, and I think it's pretty clear. And there's a good argument that he's put his hand up to a strange angle that he doesn't deserve. I don't know who it was. Was it Lee Jong-soo?
No, it was. Well, the shot was from Maxi Pereira, and I think it was from Lee. Yes, the defender Lee Jong-soo, who's an important player for the Koreans, because he scored 2 of their 5 goals despite being a central defender. 2 of the 5 in this World Cup. We're 30 seconds into stoppage time. We're just going to have a minute. Neither physio has been called on in this game, which has been very sportingly contested and pretty well refereed, to be fair. 1 or 2 contentious decisions, and certainly the main one for me, that offside, because I think Suarez was blatantly onside and would, for my money, have scored, and Uruguay should probably be 2 up. There's a loose pass down this near side, the left-hand side, by the Koreans. I make that pretty much time up as Maxi Pereira comes to this near side to take a throw-in. Referee looks at his watch, blows his whistle. That is half-time. Uruguay lead by a 1-0. That goal from Luis Suarez in the 8th minute. It was very well taken. It was a goalkeeping mistake, though, by Jung, and it came just 3 minutes after South Korea's best effort when Park Chu-young struck that free kick, rebounded, clattered against the right-hand post. South Korea unlucky on that occasion, but Uruguay's goal well taken by Suarez. Pat Nevin, just sum up the first half for us.
Well, it was a very diverting 45 minutes, and I certainly think you're absolutely spot on. The first 20-22 minutes or so, Uruguay with a better team. They were moving it quicker, and I wonder if it was the goal that changed the way the game was being played, because Korea come much more into the game, or whether there's maybe a little bit of tiredness as well coming with the Uruguayans. I think there's a couple of heavy legs out there, which surprised me so early in the game, but you have to remember, it's a World Cup, it's the end of the season, the games are coming thick and fast. So in actual fact, that might be a thing, that might be a big thing for the second half. And if you had a battle between who's the fittest side, I can tell you right now, it'll be the Koreans.
Well, it's the round of 16, the last 16 game here in Port Elizabeth. All to play for at half-time. Uruguay leads South Korea by 1-0.
We're back underway here for the second half. David mentioned during the first period there was, an 82% chance of rain, and as Pat Nevin has pointed out, it's now a 100% chance of rain, because it is teeming down here in Port Elizabeth. The pitch is already cut up, and that's not going to help matters. The goal from Luis Suarez after just 8 minutes. At that stage, Uruguay were threatening to run away with things. Korea, while not creating any better chance than the Park Chu-young free kick that came back off at the post, all the same are hanging on in there, and they will hope for a bit better here in the second half. There's been one change in personnel. I'll tell you about it in a moment. Korea attack down the left-hand side, and it's into the penalty area just for a goal kick. Right, Maurizio Victorino, who started the opening game against France in Cape Town, has come on at half-time here in place of Diego Godin.
I'm going to have a quick look to see where he actually set up, because we were chatting before. If I certainly saw one weakness in the Uruguayan defence in the right full-back area. I thought they were getting caught time and again. Certainly the pace of Park Ji-sung at the end of the first half I thought there was a weakness there, so we'll see if there's any change. A little bit of help over that side, maybe, just by the centre-back.
Yeah, Maxi Pereira is the man in that position, plays with Benfica. He often operates as a midfielder. Maybe that's why he's getting dragged out of position. Arevalo Rios tries to play a 1-2 for Uruguay on the edge of the penalty area, and Korea are able to get it away. So Muslera is the Uruguay goalkeeper. Maxi Pereira at right back, who we were just talking about there. Diego Lugano and Maurizio Victorino in the centre, with Jorge Fusile at left back. Three in midfield: Diego Perez, Arevalo Rios and Alvaro Pereira. Edison Cavani has been operating pretty much on the right wing. He's on the ball at the moment, or would have been had it not beaten him out of play for a throw, with Diego Forlan supporting Luis Suarez up front. Quickly, the Korean team. Jung is the goalkeeper, Cha at right back, Cho and Lee Jung-soo are the central defenders. Lee Young-pyo, once of Tottenham, is left back. Lee Chung-yong of Bolton is on the right hand side of midfield. Ki and Kim Jung-woo in the centre. Park Ji-sung of Manchester United predominantly on the left, with Park Chu-young up front, supported by Kim Jae-sung. Possession with Uruguay, with Alvaro Pereira on the halfway line on the left with his yellow boots and his braided hair, and he's played a ball in front of Luis Suarez, which is not controlled by the Ajax man, and it carries through to the goalkeeper. Jung, if you missed our commentary in the first half, the goal that separates the teams here is very definitely because of a mistake. Here's another one, a mistake by Kim Jong-woo, gives it to Suarez, goes for goal, low shot, bounces twice and into the arms of the goalkeeper. It was Jung who made the mistake for the goal, and Kim Jong-woo very nearly created a second one with a mistake.
It's just unthinkable. If there is one pass in a game of football you do not play, it's across your centre-backs without looking first. And he played it across. No one even close to the ball, obviously, apart from the Argentinian forward. Terrible pass there.
Kim Jong-woo, the man we told you in the first half, plays for the Army team. I think the Army would have a bit more discipline.
Absolutely.
This is the Koreans try to come down the left-hand side, but it's gone out of play for a throw into Uruguay and for Maxi Pereira. So is it going to be Uruguay to seal a place in the quarterfinals ahead of everyone else? Later on tonight, the USA play Ghana, and tomorrow England, Germany and Argentina up against Mexico. So the throw in for Korea, and it's Lee Young-pyo who has possession, and another dicey ball across the midfield, which Suarez nearly intercepted. The Koreans are playing things very dangerously here. Possession in midfield with Kim Jae-sung, and he turns and rolls it back to the goalkeeper Jung, who's come out of his penalty area with the sleeves rolled up on his yellow goalkeeping outfit, and now a long direct ball straight the way down the centre, which Diego Lugano is able to mop up with no problems at all, and then Maxi Pereira completes the clearance for Uruguay. The rain still coming down, some little waves of rain, and we can see it illuminated in the floodlights. This is a really good break forward though by Lee Young-pyo. Ball into the penalty area. Kim Jae-sung tries to finish on the edge of the 6-yard box. It's gone out for a corner to South Korea. They have started this second half well.
They certainly have. That's the tactic. We mentioned right at the end of the first half, the right fullback, he was getting them forward a little bit, Chaduri. They have to get both fullbacks forward as much as they possibly can, and we know that Lee Young-pyo can do that as well. Got to the byline, decent cross in, chances can come from there.
And the corner will be taken by Key, the number 16. It's swung into the centre, and Lugano, who's very impressive in the air, gets up and clears the ball outside the penalty area. South Korea will regain possession, but they are back now inside their own half with Cho, and Cho to his left-hand side to Lee Young-pyo. It was his break down the left wing that set up that chance for the Koreans.
Yeah, he's got plenty of pace, and we've seen it in the Premiership that he actually he does like to get forward whenever the opportunity arises. But they just need to do it a little bit more, because I think the ball that they played early on through the centre defence, even though I rate Park Chu-young very highly, I don't think that ball's going to work for them.
Uruguay had most of the possession the first half. It's all South Korea here in the second. This is going to be a chance, drilled over the crossbar by Park Chu-young. It's sat up for him on the volley. He holds his head in his hands.
You've got to get on target. We can talk about light balls, you can talk about bobbles in the pitch, you can talk about anything. That ball's bounced, and he's got plenty of power on. He's considered the power more than he's considered the direction. Put it over the bar. It's only 2 yards over the bar. If it had been on target, he could have taken the goalkeeper's head off. However, it wasn't on target, and that's what you get. That's what you have to do first and foremost.
South Korea creating chances here in Port Elizabeth. The first game of the last 16, still Uruguay lead by a 0-0. Luis Suarez, the Ajax striker, after a mistake by the goalkeeper. But it's all Korea now as Lee Chung-young of Bolton plays an early ball in towards Park Ji-sung. But again, Lugano is controlling for Uruguay, and he clears it out for a throw.
They've started very well in this second half. Uruguay haven't got going at all. They haven't got out of their own half yet.
The rain is suiting South Korea. Park Ji-sung, right-hand side, just outside the penalty area. Cha with him in support, tries to send in the cross, comes off the shins of Maurizio Victorino, and a throw into South Korea, which they take quickly, and Cha's effort is put out for another throw, this time off Alvaro Perez. Cha takes the throw in again to Lee Chung-young, who's given away the ball, but Uruguay can't clear, and it's held up now in midfield by Key. He's been fouled. Free kick to Korea. Almost the entire of the second half has taken place in the final third down the Uruguay end.
It has. Just the attitude's been much better. Just a moment ago there, we were chatting about it in the first half again. The throw-ins from Korea, it's a small thing. It seems like a small thing. Their throw-ins are dreadful. They give away possession every time. It's a very easy thing to organise.
South Korea have never beaten a South American side at a World Cup. Here comes the free kick from Key. The goalkeeper, under pressure, palms the ball out for a corner. I thought that delivery initially was too high, but it dipped towards the end, and Muslera didn't want to take any chances.
And I think he was right to do so. He just got a glove on it. It was a little bit of a punch, nicked it behind for the corner kick. But as you say, the entirety of the game now is whether these chances are half chance. Well, certainly the one definite chance that Park Ji-sung had. If he gets any more, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes it.
Uruguay have yet to concede at this World Cup. The corner is swung in. Suarez heads it away at the front post, out for a throw into South Korea. You get the feeling Muslera is going to be tested the way the Asian side have started this second half. Very few chances from them in the opening 45 minutes, but they are much more determined now. Long ball played forward and headed away. Good header as well by Victorino, and possession back on the halfway line with Cha Du-ri, the right back for South Korea. Passes into the centre. Lee Jung-soo, who scored twice in the group stage, the central defender, going against Greece in the opening match, going against Nigeria in the final group game. This is Lee Young-pyo on the left-hand side, and Uruguay bringing everyone apart from Forlan back behind the ball just to try and stem the tide a little bit here. Korea still on the ball on white. Sorry, Pat.
I actually think it is a change in system for Uruguay. I think they are leaving Forlan up front and asking the other players to go up and give them a little bit of support now and again.
Attempted flick on by Kim Jae-sung just outside the penalty area, but it's cleared away by Uruguay in the sky blue jerseys, dark shorts, dark socks. Korea in all white, and up gets Fusile, and he wins a header, but jumping for it is Kim Jae-sung for Korea. Alvaro Pereira hooks it from the halfway line into a central location inside the South Korean half. Suarez chases after it. Lee Young-pyo is able to clear away. There's a flicked on header by Park Ju-young inside the Uruguay half. Going to be picked up by Park Ji-sung now. The Manchester United man tries to step over. Now across along the area. Park Ju-young goes for goal. Comes off Victorino and ricochets out for a throw. It's another Korean chance.
Yeah, Park Ji-sung is very, very special at that, isn't he? Tackling players really high up the pitch and creating chances because he's work rate. He tackles when you don't expect him to tackle, because usually you allow the centre backs to get the ball. He closed them down, got a half a chance, couldn't put it away though.
South Korea have come out fighting here in the second half, and it's making it an entertaining spectacle now as Arevalo Rios tries to clear away for Uruguay. That was a bit casual. They've given the ball away in midfield, and it's Perez who frustratingly lunges in and commits the foul. It's a free kick inside the Uruguay half. 1-0 to Uruguay.
Nice for Perez. That's quite a few that he's had now, and that's what his game's all about, tackling, but it would be an idea to get the ball now and again.
Just one yellow card in the game so far. The Korean number 8, Kim Jong-woo. The German referee trying to keep it flowing as much as he can. And Korea sending the bodies forward here for this free kick. Uruguay, not surprisingly, have everyone back.
Do you think he's going to hit this? It's got to be 45 yards out. I think he's going to hit it.
Here he comes, straight through the ball into the two-man wall. It was worth building that wall as Uruguay clear it away. Forlan on his own, looking isolated, flicks it to space, but there's no one there for Uruguay, and it's collected by Lee Jung-soo, and Korea will build from the back again. Long ball forward. Victorino heads it away. Little glance on by Forlan. This time he finds Suarez midway inside the Uruguay half, but the tackling is crisper in this second period from South Korea, and Kim Jae-sung will just nudge it infield to Park Ji-sung, and now Lee Jong-yong on the right wing will roll a ball infield to Park Ji-sung. He's cut his hair since we last saw him play with Manchester United. Bit of space on the far side for Lee Young-pyo. That comes in field, right-footed towards the penalty area. 2 up for Korea. It's too high for Kim Jae-sung, and the ball goes out for a goal kick. But all the pressure continues to be from South Korea, and we've played 56 minutes in Port Elizabeth.
Yeah, you just wonder. I mean, that's not the tactic I would suggest Korea are best at. Lumping balls into the box from open play. If it's from, a free kick or a corner, fair enough, they get a chance to get their centre backs up, particularly Lee Jong-soo. But from wide open play, I think you get the ball into feet there. Certainly Park Ju-young's not going to win many in the air against the 2 centre backs he's against.
This is 5 Live from the BBC. At every game at this World Cup, as Suarez tries to veer his way into the penalty area, but his touch is heavy, and the goalkeeper Jung Song-ryong is able to come out and gather the ball for Korea. A reminder, by the way, the build-up to England v Germany from 12 noon tomorrow here on 5 Live. Mark Pugac will be joined by Chris Waddle and Graham Taylor, and the commentary of the game starts at 3 o'clock right here on 5 Live. Korea have possession inside the centre circle with their superstar Park Ji-sung. To his right-hand side is Cha, and on to Kim Jae-sung on the right wing, and he's taken a touch away from Fusile, and now a little dummy. Back to Cha again. Right foot across. It's a great delivery. Good header as well in the centre from Park Ji-sung, but the goalkeeper Muslera dives down to his left-hand side and saves.
Yeah, he's got it on target. I mean, it's a decent enough header, but because it was behind Park Ji-sung, there was no way in the world he was going to get enough power on it. But that's that getting to the byline again. That's the bigger thing about Uruguay. And the way there is the left and right fullbacks, I think they can be got at.
Korea preparing to make a change as well. They have possession with Cha up from right back. Rolls one ahead of Park Ji-sung. That's a lovely turn. He stumbles but recovers to get across into the centre, and then a slip, and Uruguay will be able to clear it away, and Korea win it back again in midfield. Their work rate has just been magnificent since half-time. Whatever the team talk was, Pat, it's really revved them up.
Certainly had a go at it, man. I think is it Lee Dong-gook thinking of bringing him on just now. So a little bit of power in the air to help up front. I think that's what they needed, and I was saying that for the first 20 minutes. I think the manager seems to agree at the moment.
Well, now that they're supplying a decent bit of service in there, Lee Dong-gook, a man familiar with Middlesbrough fans, didn't have the most successful spell, of course, at the Riverside, but he was part of the Middlesbrough squad, and he's one of the tallest men in the South Korean 23 here in South Africa. He is preparing to come on here. With almost an hour played, Uruguay lead by 1-0. Will it be enough to see them through to the quarter-finals? Will there be a twist? And remember, if it does finish level at 90 minutes, extra time here in Port Elizabeth. This is Park Ji-sung. Looked like he was tripped on the edge of the area. He kept his feet, and then the pass goes astray and picked up by the goalkeeper Muslera.
I hate to say the phrase, he should have gone down. And I hate that. It hurts me to say that phrase, but he was fouled. He was 20 yards out. It was a great position. They've got some really talented free kick specialists in their team. What an opportunity that would be.
Uruguay give the ball away again, but this time Kim Jong-woo sends it straight out of play, and that's going to afford the chance to make the substitution. So the striker Lee Dong-gook will come on in place of Kim Jae-sung, who was the one change in the starting 11 here from Korea's last group game. And on struts Lee Dong-gook. He's experienced at international level. This is his 85th cap, and he has scored 25 goals in the past. South Korea need one here, or they are going home from this World Cup.
Yeah, and immediately Lee Dong-gook goes up to centre forward. I just hope that Park Ju-young doesn't go too far back. He's sat out in that middle of that 4-2-3-1 formation. He needs a bit of service, a bit of help.
Here he goes, Lee Dong-gook, his first charge, putting pressure on Diego Lugano, and the ball is cleared out for a throw into Korea. For the record, the goals that Lee Dong-gook scored for Middlesbrough came in the FA Cup against Northampton and Mansfield. He failed to score in the Premier League. Cha has come forward for this throw-in. It's within 10 yards of the corner flag on the right-hand side. The ball comes straight back to Cha. He's made a burst towards the byline, strong defending, and the assistant says goal kick.
Just hope for the Koreans, they'll be hoping that with this good period of play that they've had at the start of the second half. They've got some good balls in the box. They've brought the big centre forward on now. They'll be hoping that doesn't dry up.
Certainly having a go. Such was the Uruguayan dominance in the first half. I was wondering, have they got what it takes to make a real good stab at this World Cup, and the quarter-final would open up for them either against USA or Ghana. But as you pointed out, Pat, once they come up against a bigger team, more questions will be asked, and I think some questions have been asked of them here in the second half at Port Elizabeth against South Korea.
I'm pretty disappointed in the way that they've fallen so far back. Players that had started well and looked really good at the start of the game, like Cavani, he really hasn't taken part after the first 20-25 minutes. Not getting forward at all, playing now out in the left wing instead of up front. And even Suarez, he's working hard, he's running about, but he's hardly had a kick of the ball in this centre. Cavani,
who plays his club football in Italy with Palermo, he is a striker, but predominantly playing as a right winger now with this rejig of the formation that Uruguay have adopted for the second half. Uruguay won, Korea 0. The goal came very early for Suarez after a mistake by the goalkeeper. Lunging in midfield here is Perez for Uruguay. They can't hold on to the ball. Park Ji-sung for South Korea. To Ki. Plays it forward towards Lee Dong-gook. Loses his feet. Korea hold on to the ball. And this is Lee Young-pyo. Right-footed ball towards the edge of the penalty area, and Lee Dong-gook is beaten in the air by Lugano. All the games I've seen of this World Cup, I don't think Lugano has missed a single header. He's very good in the air, the central defender for Uruguay.
They've a great history of providing centre-backs and markers and defensive players who just love to defend, don't worry about going forward too much. If Uruguayans are famous for anything in football, it's that.
This is Park Chu-young, the number 10 for Korea, rolls a pass to the right-hand side of Lee Dong-gook, and Lee Dong-gook had sort of veered his run to the left of the penalty area. So once again, Diego Lugano is able to clear the ball away for Uruguay. Cha on the ball now, across from the right-hand side, hung in the air briefly, but Maxi Pereira was under no pressure as he headed it away, straight to a Korean player. Then a trip on the edge of the area, Ki goes down, play on, says the referee. Lee Young-pyo tries a shot, back into the penalty area, and this time Fusile clears it away, and Uruguay are continuing to live dangerously.
They certainly are, and I think there may even be an injury to, it may even be Lugano there you were chatting about earlier on. He's got a bit of an injury. He's complaining at the moment. Maybe he's actually not that badly injured and he just wants a bit of a rest.
We've almost played 20 minutes in this second half. It's been the fastest 20 minutes of the World Cup for me. South Korea have just incessantly attacked, and Uruguay are just holding on here.
And I don't actually think it is Uruguay sitting in like a la Greece or Switzerland. I think they are being pushed back. I think it's much more that. I think they would like to get off the field if they possibly could. But it's just that, and it is, I think it's more the fitness and the desire that the Koreans have shown in this second half. It's been very, very good. I'll tell you what, the big question, if Korea managed to get a goal now, a huge question to be asked of Uruguay.
Korea have the wind in their sails. They've got the momentum here, and a goal would have Uruguay very, very worried. Maxi Pereira chests the ball back into his penalty area. Not sure he knew too much about that. The ball seemed to hit him, but it's worked out being a legitimate back pass, and the goalkeeper Muslera is able to pick up. So 5 live for the BBC. The second round is underway here at the World Cup, and Luis Suarez's goal has Uruguay just about in front here against a determined South Korea side. If you prefer to listen to commentary from Wimbledon, Rafa Nadal against Philip Pechner is taking place at the moment. That's on our sister station Sports Extra. Andy Murray coming up later on. He's the third match on centre court today against Gilles Simon. We'll have commentary here on 5 Live at the end of this game as to what's happening there. And Korea clear the ball away from the right full-back position, and Park Ji-sung gets a touch, and then Park Chu-young's effort forward is deflected out for a throw. Also, just want to point your way, by the way, 6 p.m. this evening, Fabio Capello is hosting his pre-match press conference ahead of Germany against England tomorrow, and we'll bring you right up to date with everything that is said in that press conference here on 5 Live and reaction to it afterwards.
I'm trying very hard not to sound like a broken record when I take on a look, but the amount of times that Korea have got throw-ins and given it to the opposition, it's infuriating because you're in control of the ball. It's very easy. If there's not a ball on, you play it slightly back or throw it back, or a little crossover between the strikers and midfielders. They ain't doing anything. They're completely and utterly static, and they're giving good ball away. And to be honest, that's schoolboy stuff.
Yeah, and that could be the difference, in terms of how many chances they can create here. They're doing nothing with the throw-ins from attacking positions. Clearly, Rory Delap does not own a South Korean passport. This is Arevalo Rios in midfield, looking for Forlan. Delicate touch forward. Suarez helps it on with his instep, and then, he might well have been fouled there by Kim Jong-woo, the army man on the edge of the penalty area. The referee was close to it, said it was a fair challenge, and South Korea will break with Lee Jung-yong on the left-hand side. He's got a pass into the centre here to Park Ji-sung, sends it one side of Logano, tries to run around the other. Logano sort of stood his ground there. It was marginal obstruction. He's got away with it.
Well done for Park Ji-sung not diving to the ground that many others would in that situation.
Not the first time this afternoon that Park Ji-sung has kept his feet, while, shall we say, others in the World Cup perhaps might have lost theirs.
It can sometimes be a negative thing, and I hate to say it, but in a World Cup, when others around you are less honourable.
Free kick here to Korea. We'll be going to Wimbledon in just a moment, but Korea, who have been a goal down since the 8th minute, are going at this hammer and tongs, and they want their equaliser in Port Elizabeth. The free kick is swung in, headed up into the air. It's going to be a chance. Keeper's off his line, and it's a goal for Lee Jung-yong. The Bolton man has got the equaliser, and this is going to make things very, very interesting now, because since half-time it has been all South Korea, and now they have got their goal for 1-1. Pat Nevin.
And they've thoroughly deserved it as well. Completely in control of the second half of this game. They've spent the whole time in the opposition half, haven't made many clear-cut chances. They did on this occasion, and well done, Connor. Not going straight back to Wimbledon. Good call.
Sorry about that, Alistair Eakin. Let's join you now in Wimbledon.
Not a problem. Rafael Nadal has found himself in a real scrap here. He's dropped the second set to Philipp Pechner of Germany by 6 games to 4. Nadal was 5-4 down, love 30 down. Pechner put up an enormously high lob. If it had been winter time, it may well have come down with snow on it. Nadal put the overhead into the net, and then on set point, Pechner managed to pick Nadal off at the net. Lovely forehand winner into the open court. So it's 1 set apiece between Nadal and Pechner.
Thank you very much, Alistair. It is winter here in South Africa. The rain is falling in Port Elizabeth, but I can tell you the second round has just got an awful lot warmer now. Uruguay won, South Korea won, and David Oates will talk you through the 90 minutes.
Thank you, Connor. Don't forget, if it does stay like this, Connor will return. We will have extra time and penalties, and I don't think Connor and Pat have been over-egging the pudding in any way, in the sense that Korea have absolutely bossed this second half. We've just seen a booking for a high foot there from Cha Du-ri, the very combative right back. Again, he hasn't been yellow carded before in this tournament. He went in very, very heavily there on Alvaro Pereira. But I think that is just reward for the Koreans.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was beginning to feel quite sorry for them there, because I was wondering, did they have enough quality going forward? Certainly they had the time on the ball, but did they have the quality?
Here comes a free kick from Forlan, which will be retaken. He whips it in from distance, but again the referee's seen push and shove inside the penalty area.
Not happy with Logano about something. I think Logano walked away very sheepishly, like a naughty schoolboy. I think he thought he was going in the book.
Well, the referee has decided against that option, but he certainly had a word with the Uruguay captain. 1 apiece on 5 live then in the last 16 match. 1-1 between Uruguay and South Korea. That free kick is overhit and almost carried beyond his own line by the goalkeeper Jung. There were some half-hearted appeals that in fact he had carried the ball behind his own line. Certainly he went behind the line. I think the ball probably was just on the right side, and I'll ask Pat Nevin in just a moment for his comment on that. But the impressive Park Ji-sung finds Lee, and Lee shoots straight this time at the goalkeeper. Lee Chung-yong of Bolton really could have got his second there.
I think we've got a game on now, haven't we? It is really long now. One side, obviously they know the World Cup's in the balance for both of them now for a long, long period of time. Obviously we're seeing Korea with complete control. Uruguay need to come out there. They know they need to come out now. They're going to try it, but I think they're a little bit tired just now, which will make for this open game. We will have chances in the next 20 minutes or so.
And certainly the edge, you would think, in fitness would be the Koreans. They are almost abnormally fit, if you like. Here's a chance for Pereira to cross from the right-hand side, the fullback. He's running across the edge of the penalty area. Can't get the ball away. Looks for a free kick. The referee says no, and it's an opportunity for Lee Young-pyo to cross the halfway line. Plays a forward ball and finds a substitute, Lee Dong-guk. He in turn to Park Chu-young, left-hand edge of the penalty area. Good looking cross in from Park Ji-sung towards the back edge of the box. This is Lee Chung-young. Chung-young plays it into Park Ji-sung, and the goalkeeper Muslera is quickly to the edge of his 6-yard box. What an excellent game we have in prospect.
And what a change it is. I mean, obviously the rain's made a big change to it as well. It just makes the players a little bit more tired. It's a little bit softer underfoot. They are exhausted. It's a long game. There's a lot of games played in a row just now. And remember, it is the end of a season. And if you see tired players, and sometimes you think that'll lead to a bad game, it usually leads to a great game.
5 live from the BBC, your World Cup station. Uruguay 1, South Korea 1, as the rain buckets down here in Port Elizabeth. We enjoyed a beautiful sunny day here in this port city. As darkness falls, we now have a scene that resembles a winter's day at somewhere like Ewood Park, or perhaps for Pat's benefit, somewhere like Pataudry.
Yes, it is a bit cold out there, but I don't think the fans are noticing it. I think they're loving it just now. They're really enjoying it because there's so much happening, so much going on, and there's a few twists and turns right in this game. Just looking at Korea, I think there might be an injury for Lee Chung-young, the Bolton winger. He's complaining over to his bench there, and he's actually just got better and better as this second half scorer. He'd be a bad loss.
He has, but he's limping now. There's no offside flag up against Suarez correctly. Suarez shoots from a very, very acute angle, and it's tipped over the bar by Jung. He wasn't taking any chances there after the goal that Suarez scored.
I'll tell you what, he thought about coming out, didn't he? Certainly, maybe even an offside in the way up to. He thought about coming out, chasing that ball down. He come down, he backpedaled, got into the right position, almost beating it at the near post. He's made one absolute dreadful error in this game so far. He wouldn't want to add to that just now.
We've got 17 minutes plus stoppage time to go here in Port Elizabeth. One apiece, and Uruguay have a corner on the far side. Don't forget, tonight it's 7:30 in Rustenburg. Full commentary on the USA against Ghana. Here comes Forlan, right-footed, the outswinger, a bit of panic and confusion inside the penalty area. Eventually it's cleared by Key up towards the halfway line. Turned back in by Fusili. Suarez is onside, heads down into the ground and over the crossbar.
He was definitely onside. 100% he was onside there. It is coming out of the air from a distance, but you know, a striker of that standard, he's got to get his head on that, got to get it on target. Skidded off his head there. Terrible contact he's made, and considering he's only 7 or 8 yards from goal, at a bit of an angle, I'll give you that, he should have got that on target.
We're about to see another substitution. This time the Uruguayans are taking off the number 11, Alvaro Pereira, which is disappointing because he's very, very distinctive with his tall frame and his yellow boots and his braided hair, and he's being replaced by the number 14, Nicolas Ladero, another Ajax player, the new hope of Uruguayan football. Very, very skillful, made his debut in the playoff against Costa Rica, because it should be remembered that Uruguay weren't one of the top 4 in the South American League to get to the World Cup. They had to have a 2-legged playoff against Costa Rica, and now they're coming forward. Perez pulls it back to Forlan, and Forlan shoots. The ball stuck into the ground really, and then an easy save for Jung.
But what a difference. As soon as the goal goes in against Uruguay, they've decided they have to attack now, so they're getting up the field. They hadn't got up the field for the first 20 minutes or so, and it's actually very similar to Korea in the first half. They didn't have a very poor time, lost the goal, then completely took control and dominant in the game. Well, the same's happened in the second half here. Uruguay go ahead, and as soon as they lose a goal, they're back into it.
Shooting opportunity for Perez, which is blocked from about 30 yards out. Really hit that with some force, straight into the stomach of Key. Uruguay come again on the right-hand side. This is Maxi Pereira, plays it infield to the substitute Ladera towards the edge of the penalty area, where it's cleared in the end by Lee Chung-young, and now the Koreans come forward. Ball swept out wide to this near side, but Lee Dong-gook won't reach that as the Vuvuzelas rear there. Perhaps ugly head again. Some would say ugly head anyway, but they have been a feature of this World Cup, and well, they still make some noise. There's only 30,000 here in a 48,000 capacity stadium, which is disappointing. But as Conor mentioned right at the start, I think a goodly number of tickets will have been taken perhaps by French fans who expected to be here.
Yeah, but I still think everyone that's been here, I think they've enjoyed it. I think it's a game that's just building up nicely just now. I don't think we've mentioned it yet. We've not been brave enough to mention it. Well, maybe once. An extra time is a real possibility here, but when the players are getting more and more tired here, there will be opportunities, there will be mistakes. And again, we have to say the conditions are a bit slippy just now. The ball is a light ball and it is bucketing down with rain, so there is a possibility of mistakes coming to lead to goals.
Yeah, the conditions ever worsening as the ball's played back to Pereira, who might have shot there, I felt, but Char clears his cross towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and now the ball's played beautifully down this near side by Lee Chung-yong. He's played really well in this second half, fires the ball long into the penalty area. It's a chase for Lee Dong-gook. He won't reach it. The ball runs through to Muslera. It is absolutely bucketing down.
And
in
the
Port
thing is,
Elizabeth.
some of the players haven't actually changed their tactics. They're still playing the balls ahead of the players in front of them when they're playing long balls. In these conditions, you can't do that. It'll just skid out of play, and the Koreans have had two great opportunities in the last 2 or 3 minutes to play good balls in, and that one there for Lee Dong-gook, played into his feet, it would have developed a chance. However, played in front of him, zips through in these conditions, but they'll learn.
5 Live from the BBC. Commentary from Wimbledon, if you prefer it. If tennis is your bag, is over on our sister station, 5 Live Sports Extra. And don't forget, tomorrow it's England-Germany. I'm sure you haven't forgotten, in Bloemfontein. And 5 Live Breakfast comes live from that city with Nicky Campbell. And then from 12 o'clock midday with Mark Pugac. All the build-up. Mark will have Chris Waddle and the former England manager Graham Taylor alongside him in Bloemfontein. But this is the first last 16 match, and it's been a good one, a slow burner if you like, but it's got better and better, and we really do have an enticing last 12 and a half minutes in prospect. And that's a good ball over to the far side by Park Chu-young, and now here's Lee Young-pyo. If he can get in the cross, and he can't, he tried to bend his foot around the ball there, but in the end he forgot to move his foot.
Yeah, when you do 3 or 4 dummies, it's always good to remember to take the ball at the end of the dummy as well. And the defender wasn't falling for it for a second. He stayed to, I would say that was 5 step overs there, and then he completely and utterly missed the ball.
Right,
he must be feeling slightly foolish at the moment.
Well, I miscounted. I made it 6, but there you go. It was certainly a lot of step overs, and then he forgot the ball. Uruguay have it on the far side, right-hand side. They're attacking right to left in this second half. Since the goal, there have been an attacking threat once more, as it's played in by Ladero to Forlan. Out to the far side to Maxi Pereira. Pereira in towards Suarez, but it's cleared, headed clear by one of those Korean central defenders, and then Ladera comes through, and the last touch I think came off a Korean head there, Key backtracking, and that was really good play in the end by Perez to follow that ball in and force the corner.
Yeah, it was, and Key had to do that. He didn't want to give away a corner, you could tell that, but he had no choice at the end, and it was just good effort. And we see Forlan going over rather forlornly, I didn't want to use that line, but over to take the corner kick, but he's had very little impact in the second half. And for a player who's by, for me, the best player in that Uruguayan team, when he stopped playing since the end of the first half, that's one of the reasons why Uruguay haven't done so well.
Here is Forlan then, the Atletico Madrid man now, with the hairband on as usual, his flowing blonde locks. He takes the corner in towards the penalty spot where it's hacked clear on the half volley by Park Chu-young, and behind for another corner, a repeat from the same position. Forlan right in front of that little pocket of very happy Uruguayans who've made a lot of noise throughout this game, as have the South Korean supporters, to be fair to them. They're drowned out, of course, by the vuvuzelas. And here comes Forlan again, this time a little bit more on the corner. Half clear towards the edge of the penalty area. This is Suarez. Can he curl his foot around the ball? He can! What a goal! What a goal from Suarez! Edge of the penalty area. What a beautiful strike that was. And Uruguay have the lead once more with 10 minutes to go. Uruguay 2, South Korea 1.
It was an absolutely fabulous goal. I mean, a classic striker's goal. He's a good distance out. He's out towards the corner of the penalty box, and as you say, plenty of curl on it. Came for a corner kick that Forlan put in there. Couldn't get it away. They tried to get it away, but you didn't think he had much of a chance from this sort of angle. Memories of Cristiano Ronaldo at his best, putting it into the back post, just clips the inside of the post and goes in. Now, if it's like the rest of the game, Korea will now dominate for the next 10 minutes, but will they get a goal in that time?
Well, there goes a man in form, Luis Suarez, only 23 years of age. He scored 74 goals in 97 games over a couple of seasons for Ajax in Holland. And remember, they didn't even win the league. Steve McLaren's FC 20 won the league this season, but It's an astonishing scoring record, and my word, he struck that really well. And it was one of those that, as you say, Pat Nevin mentioned, he had to be absolutely 100% spot on. 1 or 2% of inaccuracy, and that ball's away beyond the post.
The joy of it for him is there was only one ball on. I mean, when you're in that position, you have to put it towards the back post with a little bit of a curl. The trick is to get it absolutely perfect like he did, and he's scoring all sorts of goals. Is that his third goal at the World Cup, and it's all sorts of goals. And he has had a couple of other chances in this game, and as I was saying before, it's just a classic centre forward. He wants to get in, he wants to get chances.
But South Korea will not give up the ghost. 8.5 minutes remain. Uruguay lead here in Port Elizabeth, a rainy Port Elizabeth, by 2-1. Here's Park Ji-sung, plays it a little further forward for Lee Dong-guk, who is dispossessed legitimately, says the referee, by Ladero, and now it's Forlan. Uruguay have it. Ladero wants it again and gets it down to this near side, and this is the full-back Fusile, and the Porto man just allows that ball to drift beneath his studs, and it's out of play on this near side for a throw-in, which South Korea will take very quickly indeed. They trail here by the odd goal in 3, and they've got under 8 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. Ball's chipped forward by Lee Jung-soo towards the edge of the penalty area. Good clearing header from Victorino. Turned back towards the edge of the Uruguay box by the header from Lee Jung-soo. But again, Uruguay have possession on the far side. It's a chase on that far side, and a little bit of slack defending from the Koreans. And then I think Cho is going to be in a little bit of trouble for holding back an opponent there.
I think that's the clearest yellow card of the World Cup so far. I think that was a karate kick more than anything else, the first tackle, and then it fouled him again. So, having said, the Uruguayan striker there made the most of it as he normally would, but that was a terrible challenge.
Yes, it was Perez who I think Cho felt had beaten him to the ball.
I wonder if that's the first time Perez has ever been called the attacker. He was in attacking position.
He was. He's the strong man of that midfield, and he is very, very strong. He epitomises the Uruguayans' fighting spirit.
Here's a surprising change.
Yes.
Suarez coming off.
Suarez is being replaced by the number 20, Alvaro Fernandez, who's, I'm told, is a speedy player and has a big impact from the bench. He's often used as a substitute. He's quite tall as well, so if Korea are going to throw balls into the box, he might be useful. Alvaro Fernandez, and he's replacing the 2-goal scorer, Luis Suarez, who's played very well.
Yeah, he's been very good indeed, but classically, when the ball came in, he got himself in scoring positions. Here's the kick now.
Free kick, driven in from distance by Forlan on that far side, but over the crossbar comfortably. Jung just happy to watch it over. So we've got 6 minutes to go. Can you see an equaliser, Pat Nevin?
Well, certainly Korea will have to push a little bit further forward. Key, some youngs coming off just now. In actual fact, he's been a bit of a disappointment. He looks nice as a player. There's a little bit of pity-party stuff around the midfield there. Need a little bit more going forward, so I think it's Yom that's coming on there. So
yes, Yong Kai-hun, who's played a big part in qualifying from the group stages, but then dropped for today's match. He's on as a substitute. Cha takes the throw-in, finds Park Chu-young, who really is all action up front, the Monaco man. 5 minutes remain, plus stoppage time here in Port Elizabeth, as the ball's hacked forward by Arevalo of Uruguay, and then it's turned back towards the edge of the box, where it's cleared by Victorino of Uruguay. Korea have it back inside the centre circle. Long ball played forward by Cho. The header is a curious one because it's straight to Ladero, who's looking for a little bit of support, finds Forlan, then knocked forward again. Ladero it is, and Ladero plays the ball forward, and the goalkeeper Chung is out very, very quickly, which is just as well, because Cavani had made the break down the inside left channel, and if he'd got to that, it was curtains, and it was good night, South Korea.
Uruguay are bordering on unrecognisable from the team who started the second half, who wouldn't get out their own half, who were just holding on to that 1-goal lead. As soon as they lost the lead, and the 1-1 scoreline came up, 5 or 6 of the players have decided to start playing again as if they were taking a rest.
Well, you can't afford to take a rest against the Koreans, because they are that sort of opponent. They're always buzzing around you. And now they're trying to build something on the edge of the penalty area. The shot comes in from Lee Chung-yong. It's cleared.
They're trying to overbuild, that's the problem. You're right, they're trying to build something, but they're overbuilding. You've got to get a shot on target there. 3 or 4 times in a row in this match, they've been in great position to shoot. You can hit that ball so hard, get it on target, and ask the goalkeeper a question, and then follow it in.
Well, Forlan played what I felt was a really good ball out to Fernandez on the far side, but Fernandez, I don't think, was concentrating fully, and consequently it's a throw in to Korea, and then it's a long ball played forward towards the edge of the penalty area. The header was actually won there by Park Chu-young, but to no avail for the Koreans. But are they onside here? Opportunity, goalkeeper saves it. Can he scramble back? Well, in the end, a defender helps him out. The shot came in from Lee Dong-gook. The goalkeeper spilled it, Muslera. It was about to trickle over his line, and he was indebted to one of his defenders for being there to kick it away. Pat Nevin in just a moment, but they're coming again strongly here, Korea. They're trailing by 2-1. Opportunity on the edge of the penalty area for Park Chu-young, slashes at the ball, it's wide, it's a goal kick, and Uruguay hang on.
Yeah, they've expected a little bit better from Park Chu-young with that second opportunity, but that's not the main one. The main one was Lee Dong-gook. He's got himself 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. To be honest, it wasn't a great finish. He scuffed his shot, but it went beneath the goalkeeper, and as you say, it was trundling in towards goal painfully. But those South Korean supporters who were directly in line with it on the far side there must have known all along it was never going to reach.
42 and a half minutes played in this second half on 5 Live, your World Cup station. This is the last 16 game, and Uruguay just a few moments away from becoming the first side into the quarterfinals. They lead here thanks to 2 goals from Luis Suarez by 2-1, and they have won a goal kick. And Korea, I think at the end of this, if they do go out, will feel they created enough chances to at least take this game, Pat, to extra time.
It was certainly, for me, if you look over the entirety of the game, I think they had more of the possession in the whole game. Whether those chances have been particularly clear-cut, that's a question mark. And also, I think you've got to look at, goal scorers win games. And although Park Chu-young's a good player, and I like him a lot as a player, is he a natural goal scorer? And maybe that's at the moment what Korea have lacked.
Cha Du-ri plays it in from this right side, and then it's headed away. Good header by Victorino. And a throw-in for the Koreans with 90 seconds of normal time remaining. Back it comes to one of the defenders, Lee Jung-soo. I thought might be sent forward late on because he scored a couple of goals, but he knocks the ball back into the penalty area. Comes to Park Ji-sung, but there's a free kick for a foul on a Uruguayan defender. Victorino was fouled, according to Wolfgang Stark of Germany, the referee today, who's controlled this game, handled this game pretty well, I would say. And we've got 60 seconds to go, and Uruguay look to be holding on.
Yeah, well done the referee there. He managed to see that Lee Dong-gook was actually holding on to the shirt. And it was a big call to make that, because I think Lee Dong-gook was getting a hold of it. He was getting the ball laid back. I think it was going to go to Ji-sung Park, but it didn't get there because the referee made the right decision. Can Uruguay hold out? And interesting to see how much extra time is going to be added, or how much injury time is going to be added. Certainly, we've had a few substitutions, but for Korea, it's not good news because there's a free kick to Uruguay. That'll eat up a few more seconds.
Yes, I suspect there'll only be about 3 minutes of added time. We're into the last 30 seconds of normal time. Oscar Tabarez is barking orders from the technical area as Forlan waits to take this free kick. He's waited as long as he possibly can, really, and then sensibly, rather than ping it forward, he's just played it square into the midfield. It's out to Maxi Pereira on the far side. There are 3 minutes of added time. Here is Fernandez, one of the Uruguayan substitutes, tries to play it down the line. Further advance from Fernandez is Pereira, his fullback, and Pereira does well. He wins the throw-in on the far side, so this will eat up a little bit more time. It's level with the edge.
Do you know what's confusing me, David, at the moment? The 3 minutes left. Korea need a goal. They've actually only left one player up. What's that all about? You've got to score a goal. It doesn't matter.
I'm very surprised that one of the central defenders hasn't gone forward, and the ball's played in towards the Korean box, and the goalkeeper Jung had to watch that low cross all the way because there was a Uruguayan virtually blocking his path. But then he plays it long, and it's not controlled by Lee Dong-gook, and the goalkeeper will wait until there's some Korean presence near him, Park Chu-young, and then he will eventually pick the ball up. Almost a minute of added time played. Uruguay 2 minutes of stoppage time away from the last 8. Long clearance from Muslera, headed back over the halfway line by Lee, the central defender for Korea. Now it's Cha on this near side, turns it back to Cho. Cho launches the ball forward, high one for Lee Chung-yong. He's beaten in the air though. Fusile with a good header, but almost immediately it comes back to Kim Jong-woo. But they're backtracking now, Korea. They're being forced back by the Uruguayans, who come out quickly. Fusile, this time beaten in the air. Victorino can't reach it. Victorino on the second occasion does. He half volleys the ball to this near side. And another throw-in taken quickly by Lee Jung-soo. Down the line, it's another of those poor throw-ins that has Pat Nevin shaking his head. Cha will try again. Level with the edge of the penalty area on this near side. Then the ball's played towards the Uruguayan box. We're into the last 80 seconds of added time at Ladero. Down this near side, not the cleverest of balls to Cavani, who trod on it. And now it's back with the Koreans with 1 minute of added time remaining. Uruguay leading South Korea here by 2-1. Is the one last chance here for Korea? We shall see. Lee plays the ball back to the other Lee Jung-soo. Now it's Cha who crosses. Good clearing header again from Victorino, and then an awful mistake. Took his eye off the ball there, did Lee Jung-soo. It almost rolls out for a Uruguayan throw, and he just about keeps the ball in play. Last 40 seconds. They're going to launch it forward. Lee Jung-soo with a high ball towards the edge of the penalty area. Perez thinks about clearing it. Then he was worried, actually, that he'd be penalised for dangerous kicking. And eventually Uruguay do get it away, and it's 4 against 3. And it's more likely perhaps we get a third Uruguayan goal, but they've rather slowed down the pace of the attack and played it to this near side to Ladero, who tries to burst into the penalty area, and it's cleared at the death. 10 seconds remaining. Referee doesn't even play the full 3 minutes. He's decided that the game is over, and Uruguay are the first team into the quarterfinals. They've beaten South Korea here by 2 Luis Suarez goals to 1 Pat Nevin.
In actual fact, it was a very exciting game. It changed. The stronger team at the start, it was Uruguay, and then Korea come back into it. It all changed with the goals that have been scored. Each time a team scored a goal, they seemed to weaken. However, the Koreans, for me, had one big weakness. They don't have a natural out-and-out goal scorer. And the Uruguayans have one. They probably have a couple, because Forlan can score as well. But today, it was all about Suarez. Fantastic second goal, absolutely brilliant second goal, arguably the goal of the tournament, and one worthy of getting you through to the next round.
Try to have a look at the Suarez goal, well, both of them, but particularly the second one. It was a peach, and Uruguay into the quarterfinals. They've beaten South Korea here in Port Elizabeth by 2-1.